Jupiter at night, we are live before an internet audience.
This episode of Jupiter at Night is brought to you by FreshBooks.com. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Jupiter at Night. My name is Chris.
My name is Jeremy.
And Mars Base is joining us. Hey, Mars Base.
Hey, guys.
Hey there.
Why is she here?
Now,
We're not doing science.
It's not a science episode, but Mars Base wanted to join us because it's, it's going to be a somber episode for me, J-Man. But, you know, it's Thursday. We like to look towards the weekend, and one of the things that's happening on Friday this week is the end of Smallville's 10-year run.
The last episode ever.
And Mars Base is a big Smallville fan, along
As you
with
can see
myself.
from her shirt, she's got her Geek Pride showing right there.
Yeah, nice, Mars, nice. Now, the J-Man here is not a Smallville fan, so
but I think I'll get into that later.
I think you'll probably represent the vast majority of the audience out there tonight.
All right.
I don't think a lot of them are Smallville fans, but here's a little Smallville facts for your face, everyone, before we get going. Smallville first aired on October 16th, 2001. That's 10 years ago. That's also around the same time that Enterprise premiered, which is Star Trek Enterprise, which is how I started watching it, and of course because it was Smallville too.
Because you'd start watching Enterprise and just zone out and let it go.
I suppose. Now, you watched the first 3 seasons. Now, what made you start watching?
I think it was that it was on Near Enterprise. That seems to be the key. But I also remember watching it on DVD at some point.
Oh, yeah? What about you, Mars?
I watched it, well, one, because it was near Enterprise, but two, I like superhero shows.
Yeah.
I'm going to give all my superhero shows a chance.
And
even though so many of them are so disappointing.
And this one has its moments.
Give them a chance.
This one I had to keep giving a chance, I'll be honest. There was parts of like season 8, I think I just totally tuned out for a little bit. I know I had an on and off with Smallville.
Yeah, I was never a have to watch it right when it aired person.
Yeah.
You know,
although this season's been pretty good.
Cool.
This season I have been.
Yeah, I've been watching it within 24 hours.
I will say one really good thing about Smallville, and because I've picked up occasional episodes here and there, it is the type of show where you can just pick up an episode. You can just watch it and enjoy an episode.
Most of the time, yeah.
A lot of the time.
Sometimes they do like story arcs where they bring it together.
Or even in some of those that are self-contained, there'll be like one scene that's a carryover to the rest of the arc that's going on, and you don't really know what's happening. But then they get back to the fun action that's in the moment.
Yeah.
And
there's a couple of interesting facts about the finale coming up, but I don't know. I thought maybe, Mars, you were looking around online. You know some of the things that, there was like even a possibility before Smallville we were going to get like a Batman series. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were talking about, they started off talking about the Batman series, but it was WB.
Oh, even before Superman.
Yeah, before Smallville and Superman. But because they had the film coming out, they didn't want to compete against themselves, essentially. So they nixed that, and then somebody said, well, what about Superman?
Seems like that'd be a natural synergy, not like a competition. Seems like the TV series would be able to play off the success of...
Not if they were planning to go the Smallville route.
True.
With Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, well, you have to be really careful of that, because are you like in the same universe? Is it a completely different universe? Then people are confused. Oh wait, which Bruce Wayne is this?
At Smallville, I think you have to admit Smallville kind of decided to make its own universe, really.
Yeah.
And you know,
parallel.
props to them that they actually succeeded, because nothing in Smallville is anything like anything in the comic books.
Oh.
Comic book people. They were not super fans. They didn't follow the comics. They didn't know the canon, so it was easy for them.
You know, occasionally I just see some things that would show up in the show, and it's like it has nothing to do with anything, but they stole the name from something in the comics. Isn't Brainiac just a computer? It's not even like some monstrous alien intellect.
No, it's an alien thing, and it infects
No, it
stuff.
is.
Okay,
it is a computer, but
okay,
it kind
bad
of
example, but I think some of you know what I'm talking
you're
about.
right. No, we're not arguing with you. We're not saying you're wrong.
No, sometimes it just seemed like they had a card deck full of Superman random characters, you know, like their character cards, and they were like item cards, and they just like shuffle one out and be like, "Swap! This is what we're including this week."
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna give him orange hair. I don't know.
I think it's more to it than that, but it does feel like that sometimes. It did with the whole...
You know how I was thinking about this earlier, and I think what sums it up is that if you change the names of the characters in Smallville, like if it was Mark Bent instead of Clark Kent and like Rex Snooper instead of Lex Luthor, I mean, it would have come across completely as some sort of cheesy parody of Superman.
I guess so. They kind of have
Instead,
like...
they take themselves so seriously, and they use all the real places and names and things that it's...
The guys they bring in, the comic heroes that they bring in, you know, like their power sets are along the main line, and they're also like an earlier version of the character. They're not like the later character that's in the comics. They're sort of like a prototype of that character. So
they're not full strength Justice League, power.
Yeah, just like Clark isn't a full Superman yet.
Well, that's part of what has frustrated me along the way, though, is because they do try to play up how close they're following these main storylines, but then they do things like bring Lois Lane to Smallville and have him fall in love, and she knows that he's Superman, and that only happens sometimes. I know sometimes in the comics.
That's a great example where their universe went a lot different.
Right, a lot different.
See, you're right, J-Man. You're right in the sense of they'll bring
didn't they invent the blur out of wholesale?
I don't know. I don't know if
I've
that
never
is
heard of that
from
before.
early Superman comics or not. But I'll tell you one thing they do that you're right in terms of the characters. But what they get right is a lot of the Superman elements that make that you could almost like templates that you stamp an episode with that you could take off of Smallville and stamp Lois and Clark, or even to an extent stamp Adventures of Superman, the old 50s and 60s show, because it's like, for example, when you're in Smallville and you're in the barn, it's these warm tones, it's these emotional scenes, and when you're in Metropolis, it's very busy, and everybody's
snarky.
Snarky.
Cinematography itself changes depending upon where it is and how comfortable Clark is with that location,
and it's kind of a formula that Superman movies have followed. So you have it replicated in Smallville. So it's sort of like it's like a rhythm that you're used to. That the notes that they hit in a Superman story.
Well, when you keep doing a show for 10 years, you're gonna hit a rhythm eventually. You better.
Yeah.
You damn well better.
But there's things they established from like the very early on. Like it's a rhythm they've really always followed.
You know what? One of my favorite parts of Smallville of all time is the fact that they established almost immediately that Clark's wardrobe is red and blue.
Yeah.
Always. He's always wearing red and blue. Even if it's just like a shirt and a jacket.
Yeah. In later episodes, he's now sort of like becoming like a Clark Kent.
Yeah.
You don't like that, Mars?
No, it was good. I was thinking you were going to go in the direction of the black blur suit.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that.
When he kind of went emo.
Yeah, kind of emo Superman, yeah.
There was a whole season where he was like, Clark Kent is dead, I am Kal-El, and that whole arc was very emo.
It wasn't a season, it was an arc, yeah.
Well,
it was a climax, and then it was So let's talk about the finale.
All right.
So it's a 2-hour deal. And they got. Is it a spoiler to say who's coming back? It's been on
the previews. Yeah,
they've got it everywhere.
So yeah, Lex Luthor. What's Michael Rosenbaum?
No way! I didn't know that.
He's coming back. He's going to be back, and they only had him for one day.
Yeah.
So they had to cram the entire shooting into.
Yeah. Looks like it's pretty hectic.
Actually, you pointed me out to some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and I watched a bunch of those. And apparently, at the end, they were shooting like 5 different episodes all at the same time.
That's what they said. Yeah.
Well, probably because they had to do all the other shooting for the stuff that Michael Rosenbaum was not in.
And they wanted to tie it all together, too.
Right.
Yeah. It's pretty nuts. I guess I don't know, Mars. What are you expecting out of the finale? What's your hope to have wrapped up or whatever?
Well, I know at the end they've got to have him in tights and flying, but it's probably going to be in the last, they've got to have Superman.
Yeah.
But it's going to be at the very, very end. They're going to drag us along. They're going to mess with us around, what's
Do you think that they will
in the air.
Do you think that they'll put Michael Rosenbaum in green and purple tights as well?
No.
No,
do you think they'll kill him? Do either of you think that they might kill him off?
I think I agree with Mars. I think it's going to be the last 5 minutes of the show. He'll go off in a Superman suit, and I think he's going to leave Lois behind to go off into some sort of super training. I think it's like they're going to try to leave it as like the adventure is just beginning.
So this is going to be a prequel to Superman Returns that came out several years.
Yeah, leave her prego, head off into space. Yeah, that could work. It does kind of that would click together. I don't know. I think I'd like to see. There's a few storylines. I'd like to see stuff wrapped up with Lionel Luthor and Lex's dad, and I'd like to see stuff.
Oh, they killed him.
Did they? Is he dead?
Lionel, the alternate the Earth 2 Lionel.
He's still around, isn't he?
Portal.
Yeah, he's still around, right?
Oh. Yes, they sort of brought him back by having the alternate evil universe Lionel Luthor come in.
Because the Prime universe wasn't evil enough.
Well,
the Prime Lionel kind of warmed up. It was kind of weird. He was like being all nice.
He started to kind of get in the whole idea of helping Clark reach his destiny because he was he was kind of They went through a series of Treasure Island kind of, or not treasure, where you go on a treasure hunt kind of thing.
Scavenger hunt.
They were going on a hunt for clues of this, Clark's destiny and stuff like that, and he kind of became like Clark's protector. But now evil Lionel's there, and I want to see where that goes. And the other thing I'd like to see wrapped up is I'd like to see something with Chloe, and I'd like to see I'd like to see a decent ending to the Green Arrow story arc. I've been on and off with the Green Arrow the entire show, but he's marked right now for Darkseid.
Yeah.
So I like to see where that. Yeah.
He's got to figure out what's going to happen with that.
He glows the Omega symbol on his forehead right now. Yeah. And then also Tess. Tess has kind of been an interesting character. What do you think? What's your impressions of Tess? Right? Yeah, well, kind of. They brought her in as the Lex replacement.
Yeah.
And it's just I initially did not like Tess at all myself.
Yeah, it's almost like a wrestling character. They can't decide whether it's like she'll be evil for a little while and be like, oh no, I'm not evil, and then be good for a little while, and then you like see this little glint in her eye. You're like, wait,
is she being evil right now?
Can I just say how brilliant it is that you drew a simile to wrestling just now?
Because it's totally the same thing.
They
right?
totally flip a character all the time.
Yeah, no, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
They do.
Hilarious.
That was the problem with Lana Lane too, is they flipped her character around all the time.
Yeah,
even when
she was
came
teaming
back.
up with Lex sometimes. Yeah, I do remember that.
That's an issue I think Smallville's had a long time. But Tess's character, they kind of had that pattern down a little better, I think, by the time they brought her on. So her flips were a little more seamless, I thought. What do you think, Mars? Like a little better, right?
They were better. It would just be like finding something else out, and then like the camera just stayed with her just long enough for you to see that she was actually starting to flip around.
Right. Interesting enough. So I'd like to see where that goes with her. I don't know, Mars, any other things that you want to see wrapped up in this final 2-hour episode? Like any main storylines over the 10 years?
Do you think Chris is right? Do you think that Soups is going to leave Lois at the end?
I think so.
It's hard to say. It seems like it'd be a good place for them to do it. Like Chris was saying, the adventure's just beginning.
Yeah.
So it's he goes off and
okay. You know what?
Training.
That's something that I want to sidebar here.
All right.
The adventure's just beginning. The producers have actually said that on camera. Do you think they're trying to talk into movie deals with this?
I don't think so. I don't think so because there's already the talks of the other movie
a Green Arrow spinoff.
Well, actually, J-Man, there is some rumors of spinoffs and some possible.
Oh yeah.
There's we got an article here. In fact, I think we'll go through the top 5 spinoffs people like to see from Smallville.
Oh, all right.
That's kind of interesting. But before we get to that, I want to say holler to FreshBooks.com because they're sponsoring today's episode.
And they are superheroes.
They are our superheroes because they keep us on the air. Now, FreshBooks.com is easy online invoicing. And if you're a small business or a contractor, or if you have anybody out there that you need to charge for your goods, check out FreshBooks.com because it's invoicing done right, and it's really a great online service.
So if you run a small farm outside of a major city and you need to invoice people to sell your hay.
Or if you're a contract news reporter working for a large newspaper organization, maybe has a daily news edition.
Right, on a planet somewhere.
Yeah, and you want to charge them for your work, check out FreshBooks.com. That's what Clark Kent does. Now, also, one of the things that Clark likes a lot is the built-in time tracker into FreshBooks.com. So you just click that, and it automatically adds the time you spend on your invoice. So you don't have to worry.
And if it doesn't go well, he knows exactly how far around the Earth he has to fly back.
He's got it all logged in here. Plus, when Clark's fighting Superman. Oops, I almost let that slip. When Superman's fighting the bad guys. They have a built-in login right here. Superman can provide a login for Lex Luthor to see how many hours that
he spent beating his face.
Yeah, so if your clients are like, I'd really like to keep an eye on the expenses and keep a track of where things are going, you can actually give them their own login, and they can actually monitor the status of the project.
That's really cool, too.
Great for when you're fighting crime, to let them know how things are going. And there's a little bonus. If you'd like a free cake, they're giving out a cake to
a super cake.
To one viewer a week, every week this month. So when they have a little box that says, how did you hear about us? Type in Jupiter, and you get entered for that free cake. Pretty awesome.
Are we done? That was one of our best plugs ever, I think.
Thanks to FreshBooks for sponsoring this episode of Jupiter at Night. All right, let's move on to spinoffs.
I just want to point out that Heather was sitting here trying desperately to not bust up during
I thought I was going to pass out. I wasn't sure if I got muted.
No, we didn't mute you. No, we didn't mute, so you did good. You did good, Heather. That's awesome.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, so I got, now I'll be honest with you guys because I was starting to mourn my loss. When a TV show goes that I've been watching as long as Smallville, like any Star Trek series, because I watched it for 7 years, or 24.
Oh, yeah.
24 was rough. I had to take a moment, and I'm going to have to take a moment after Smallville, but people are trying to soften the pain with some possibilities of some rumors of some spin-off talks.
I think Green Arrow is the most obvious. He's been on for 4 or 5 seasons now, right?
I just don't like this actor.
He's been around forever.
I think he's a terrible actor.
I do too.
Aww.
I'm glad we agree on that.
Oh, you don't think so? You just like it because he's good eye candy, Mars. To be honest here, I mean, he's He's a bit of a hunk.
Bad.
He's okay. All right.
All right.
He's all right. All right. Okay. Well, let's go on. What do you think about a Superboy spinoff? Now they've almost done this before.
No.
What do you mean by that? Like before Smallville?
Or there was like a Superboy TV series for a little while. Yeah.
Well, how would that be a spinoff of Smallville, though?
I don't know, because there was a you could maybe do it where there was somebody in there that was introduced in season 10. He's a clone. Then you also have Supergirl. That's Clark's sister cousin. Sorry,
cousin.
Supergirl could be interesting.
I could probably go for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've shot her off with the Justice Ring into the future, so they can set it in whatever time they want.
That'd be cool too, wouldn't it? If it was in the future.
Yeah, see, now one of the cool things about any of these potential spinoffs, if they're still done by CW, is that they could bring back the same actors, potentially.
That'd be really neat.
Yeah,
like if they spun her off into her own thing off into the future, they could bring Superman as Superman once he's established himself.
I don't think she's a great actress either, but she's all right. I like this one. The one I'm down for is a spinoff with the Justice League.
Yes.
So you bring in like the whole artillery here. This would just be good TV, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the dream. Plus, I'd love to see Tom Welling stick around, although he might be getting kind of expensive at this point because he's like an executive producer or what.
Wow.
Yeah, he's gotten up there, or associate. He's up in he's got a producer's credit now and all that kind of stuff.
Wow,
so
I did not know that.
There you go. The thing about the other thing that kind of would give the Justice League rumor a little bit of credence is I was reading an interview with the producers, and they said the number one thing that they really regret about season 10 was not getting enough Justice League in the script.
Huh.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something there.
Well, what about Aquaman? Like, I had heard that originally, before he was even on the show, they were talking about an Aquaman television show.
Oh.
There was one. It got filmed. And
oh, really?
Yeah, it's actually the actor who played Green Arrow
Oh,
in
no
the show.
kidding. Go figure.
It was completely different. They released
Well, that
it
explains
on
why
iTunes.
they didn't pick it up. He's terrible.
Yeah, he's a horrible actor. Oh, it made it to iTunes? Really?
Yeah, they made it because they've had the first episode filmed. They just didn't air it. They put it on iTunes. It was like the #1 most downloaded television show at that time.
How about that? Well, all right. We won't drag out the Smallville drama anymore, but I'd love to hear your thoughts out there. You guys have any closing thoughts, any closing rants or anything before we go?
I just want to say that I think that the reason that Smallville never drew me in, I think I've been able to quantify it, is because Superman has always interested me as a story about Superman dealing with the fact that he is the savior of mankind.
Yeah.
You know, that he's Superman. And Smallville instead was the story of Clark Kent trying to come to terms with the fact that he wasn't a normal boy like everybody else.
It does start that way, but it ends with him coming to terms with the fact that and what's interesting is they take the challenge of not only am I Superman, but what does that actually mean in terms of being a man who finds out that he has the burden of the whole world over his, and what does it take to come to grips to actually come to that realization and then to embrace it. And now he's in the phase of the TV series right now where he's embracing that.
So you're saying I should go and watch it all?
You should because really, and what I like about it is it's the Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman, and also the Adventures of Superman from the 50s and 60s were very Clark focused. And Superman came in like 10 minutes of the episode, and the rest was all Clark. I think this did that in a lot too, and I really. But
I never liked Lois and Clark either.
Yeah, well,
and it might have been for the same reasons.
Yeah, well.
From my personal perspective, and Mars, maybe you can tell me how you feel about this in general, because I think that superheroes are more interesting when they're super people trying to deal with the fact that they have to do normal things, or they have to balance their responsibilities of being a super person.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, let's face it.
There's a fair amount of that in Smallville.
Clark Kent for Superman. Clark Kent was a nobody. He was an illusion. He was a nothing.
Right. He was made up.
Right.
Well, kind of. Yeah. I mean, he did grow up on a farm. As Clark
Kent. You're going to have that thing where on a weekly show, they're not going to do superhero stuff every time. They're going to have it mainly focused on the not stuff that you need, the CG or the special effects for.
Yeah.
And it's focused more on the...
I know, and I agree with that, but that's one of the primary reasons that people haven't liked Heroes, is because it was too much drama and not enough heroing.
Yeah, there is a lot of drama in Smallville.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I looked through that part and...
They could have done it differently. They could have done it where, they gave themselves so many years, where Smallville was 4 years of high school, or stretch it out for a couple extra years, and then change the show.
Well, they kind of did that, though, right? Because they were in high school, and then they went to Metropolis.
But they could have easily just spun the show off.
Yeah, yeah.
No tights, no flying, no cape.
Yeah, they could have,
They were so stuck on that they just kind of boxed themselves into...
And when Smallville first came out, the no tights, no flights rule was actually really intriguing. It gave you a chance to actually as much as I just said that I wasn't really interested in that, people that wanted to know about Clark, it gave them a huge opportunity to get to know him.
It made sense to start off like that.
Right.
But after 10 years, you're like...
Exactly.
We've been tortured. We've been, and they knew the entire time, all along, they torture you.
Well, they tease you with,
for 10
kryptonite,
years.
Red kryptonite, Kal-El flies after an airplane or something. You're like, please keep flying afterwards. Please keep flying afterwards. And no.
I think the original limitation was put in because they couldn't make it look right on TV, and now they finally got it looking right. So now we're going to see flying. I think we're going to see flying. It's fun. We've seen practice flying. Like he jumped off the Statue of Liberty, and that didn't go so well. You remember that, Mars? That wasn't too bad.
I saw a clip of his cousin, Supergirl, making fun of him for not being able to fly.
Yeah, that was good too.
That was harsh. You're like, Supergirl can fly around.
Yeah,
Come
just
on,
about
Clark.
just about everybody that gets Clark's powers can also fly most of the time.
Okay, no, I want to know something about Smallville that I've never been able to just glean the answer to. Do they ever mention Bruce Wayne or Wayne Enterprises? Is it ever even come up?
I don't think
Gotham.
so. Gotham is mentioned.
Gotham is mentioned.
That's probably, and that's the closest that they ever get?
I think so.
I wonder if they've shied away from that because of the Dark Knight franchise, though.
There's a lot of hints in the show that go over my head, too, for comic stuff. That I then catch later on.
There are a lot of things that, I have friends or family that are a little bit more into soup.
They catch that kind of stuff.
They'll kind of catch it and be like, oh my gosh, did you hear that? And so then I'll go,
Dr. Cos says that they have mentioned Wayne.
Okay.
Now, Dr. Cos is another real big fan of Smallville. He's
good man, Dr. Cos.
I think we're going to have him call in after the show and share some thoughts with us.
Good man, Dr. Cos. Yeah. All right. Well, all right. Now I think we've beaten Smallville into the ground enough. But I'd love to know what you guys think. If you're going to watch the finale and you enjoy it, or if you're thinking about picking up the DVD set, because what I did hear, and this might just be them talking a big talk, but they said that this DVD set might be like the most feature-packed DVD set that the network has ever released. They've gone back and they've gotten interviews with a lot of the original
Well, what does that really mean, though? CW
sense.
hasn't been around that long.
Tons of extras is what they mean. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what that means.
And that'll be out in fall. I've been seeing the ads everywhere.
Fall 2011.
Yeah.
I might pick it up.
Nice.
I don't know. Yeah, there you go. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining us for this whole week of Jupiter at Night. And Mars Base, thanks for hanging out with us on tonight's episode.
Thanks for having me on this super episode.
Yeah, science took a break this week, but we had to prepare for Smallville.
Superheroes did not.
That's right. That's
No.
right. All right, everyone.
never
We'll
do.
have a great weekend, and be sure to join us live on Saturday at jblive.tv at 11 a.m. to catch Stoked, and then Linux Action Show at 10 a.m. on Sunday at jblive.tv. The Linux Action Show will be live, and you'll want to catch that. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for watching this whole week of Jupiter at Night, and we'll see you next week.